Alright, so time for an update on the hostel situation. So, um, so I last time I gave you guys an update on the hostel, it was right after I moved from the first hostel to the second one. I don't know if you can hear this car going by in the background. Um, yeah, so I was at the second hostel for apparently it was like 2.5 weeks, and it was a very small place, like definitely the smallest hostel I've ever been in, where like there was sort of a hallway going from the entrance to the kitchen and the downstairs rooms, and and they had a bench lining this hallway, but it was like the bench itself was like too narrow to really get comfortable on it. At least for me, it was like I always felt like I needed to lie down, and I really couldn't, and like either like sitting or like laying down, it wasn't really like comfortable if you know, like hanging around trying to talk to people. But on the flip side of that, there was in the kitchen was like, you know, really I guess the best place to hang out, which is where people would hang out you know, during the day. Like they would kind of like move to this hallway at night when people were sleeping, but when everyone was awake, we'd be in the kitchen and everything would be fine. I know there'd be a couch and plenty of chairs, and I felt like it was, you know, not quite enough space, but that was the reason that, you know, it was a big part of why everyone interacted with each other, because like if we all had enough space to spread out individually, we wouldn't have interacted and gotten to know each other to the degree that we did. And I know a big part of that is also the people working at the hostel really, you know, sort of break the ice for you. And then they, you know, they're posting events in the WhatsApp group and you know, sort of encouraging and enabling you to go out together and you know, interact with each other. So yeah, I would say I really enjoyed that social aspect of it. In the past, you know, I'd say when I was younger, I would have gotten like so attached to those people and you know, felt like this is this unique once in a lifetime bond, and you know, I would have wanted to stay in touch with them afterward. In this case, I don't know, it's like I could tell it's like it's just for this time, and you know, you have people coming and going, and even if there's people that we liked, and you know, I find myself sort of like hoping that they would stay a bit longer, or like, you know, a little bit sad when they left. It's like you accept it because you know that's the way things work around here. So I finally did manage to go out with them a couple times, and I mean, we definitely had a really good time. I'm glad that I was able to make it out, but on the other hand, I think that maybe it made it more difficult for them to understand that I have certain limitations, because after we went out, I was like crashed for several days, and I kept wanting to go out again, and I just like I couldn't build up enough energy to yeah, get to that point. And yeah, I guess yeah. I ended up having a lot of difficulties because I basically I have this money on this card, and my friend has the card. I have my friend mail this card, and apparently it's still in the mail because it hasn't arrived yet. And I was, you know, like doing the math of like how much it would cost if I'm staying in a hostel for the next few weeks until I'm planning to leave, and if I could afford that or if I needed to leave at the time. And it looked like it was gonna work out. I was gonna have enough money to, you know, stay until the end of the course. And as it turns out, I didn't, and it was because I didn't have the money from this card yet. And I guess I still didn't realize that I was gonna run out of money quite so soon. So I didn't realize how urgent it was that I really needed to get that card right away. But when I first arrived at the hostel, I had some cash and I offered to give them that, and they're like, "Oh no, just wait until you have all of it." So some time goes by, and I hear them asking other guests, like, "Hey, do you want to come pay now?" And they don't say anything to me. And I actually, I mentioned to them that I have health problems and financial problems, and that I'm trying to find another place to stay. And they suggested this hostel that converts into a student dorm in the winter, and it's, cheaper than normal hostels, and getting on Workaway. And so yeah, even though I hated to spend money, I signed up on Workaway, and I even put on my profile that I've been having health problems and I've been dependent on donations and all of that. I'm very straightforward because I have to be able to explain to these people that even though it's called Workaway, I'm not actually able to do the work that they're asking, but I just really need a place to stay. And I haven't been able to find anyone on Couchsurfing since so I thought maybe since I put on my Workaway profile that I had this GoFundMe and everything, that maybe they had talked to each other and they were like, "Oh well, maybe we can give her a break and not charge her or something." And they just hadn't had a chance to talk to me alone and let me know. And I knew I was really just wishful thinking. And then eventually they did ask me to pay, and I realized by then that I wasn't gonna find a Workaway or be able to go to this dorm in time to leave before the end of my reservation there. So I think part of that was I don't necessarily know how much I need to pay because I might be leaving a week early. But by the time they asked, I was like, okay, I'm going to be staying till the end, and I'm looking at the total amount, and I just got some money, and the total was not quite enough to pay my bill, and I needed that money for food. So I went and talked to the manager, the one who's sort of running the volunteers, and I say sort of the mother of the hostel, who's folding laundry at midnight, and I feel really looking out for everybody. I mean, I feel like all of them were the other volunteers, they genuinely would care if I was having a coughing fit or something, if I disappeared or something happened, they would notice and they would check, so I definitely I appreciated that sort of personal aspect to it. But yeah, I talked to her and I was like, with the money I have, since I also have to use it for food, I was like, maybe I could give you a third, but I don't have all of it right now, and I'm not getting money again until after I'm supposed to leave here. So first of all, I would have to pay the rest after I leave, and second of all, because of my financial situation, it would be really great if there was any way that I just didn't have to pay, or that I could pay less. And she said she had to talk to the owner, and it didn't seem likely that anything was gonna happen because he's like very strict when it comes to business. And yeah, in the end, she came back and told me the owner said you have to pay the full amount before you check out in a few days, and if you don't, he's going to report you to Hostel World, which basically gets you blacklisted from all hostels internationally, which would definitely be bad because that means that first of all I have to leave there, second of all I can't check into the next hostel, and I've got no place else to go. And obviously it's not like I can afford a hotel or anything. So I was really panicking and contacting anybody I could. And fortunately I did find someone who was able to send me some money. And I just had to wait to transfer, wait for the bank transfer to go through. And I basically got the money the morning that I was planning to leave, and ended up like having this whole big debate with the hostel owner because, okay, I know this is like a me thing that drives people crazy, but I didn't want to just outright say, okay, I have the money now, because then it's gonna be like, oh, problem solved. I wanted to try to explain the situation so that the owner understood just how difficult my situation is and has been for a very long time, and sort of just that it's not that easy for me to like go and get money from somewhere, and that normally I'm struggling to get money just for food, and everything I get is supposed to go toward food, because even getting money for food is difficult enough, and this was never part of the plan. And he was kind of like, well, then like what are you doing traveling, and this is a business, and he's like, it's not like you go into a buffet, you eat everything there, and then you just don't pay. And I'm like, okay, but this is more like you go to get gas, you fill your car up, and then you realize you don't have money, and it's like, it's too late, you're screwed. Like, I think he kind of felt like I did this on purpose to take advantage of them. I was like, not at all. This definitely wasn't planned. He's like, how could you not know that you didn't have enough money? And I'm like trying to explain, but I'm like, this whole situation is so insane that, I think people need to get it in like small bits in order to digest it. And for him to come in like we've never met before, and to just like hear all of this all at once, of course it sounds like unbelievable. So finally I felt like he was frustrated, but like we managed to like work everything out. And finally I told him like, okay, I do have the money, like I wanted you to understand the situation. And the other thing is my medicine is being shipped there, and they closed the day after I left. They're gonna be closed for a month to renovate. So if my medicine arrives in the next month, I have no idea how I'm gonna get it, because nobody's actually gonna be there. But I also wanted to explain this to him too, that my medicine is coming, so like even if I couldn't pay today, it's not like I would just disappear. Like I would still pay, you would still hear from me, because I'm still gonna be in town, and I need to be in touch with you to get my medicine. But yeah, I was really like worked up and tense from that. And I basically left from there, went to get the money, took like half of my stuff to the new hostel. I took half of my stuff to the new hostel, which was about 10 minutes away. And I was hoping that maybe like if I'm not carrying so much weight all at once, that it wouldn't be as exhausting to move. But yeah, I checked into the new place, and then I went back, paid for the last place, and got my last bag, my backpack, and then I moved over to the new place, and I was like saying my goodbyes to everyone, and like, it's been really nice, and just like this social interaction really meant a lot to me. And they said they were planning to go out that night, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, like, I'd love to join you guys, because in that moment I felt fine, but it was like as soon as I got back to the new hostel, I just like I felt the energy just drain from me, and I totally crashed. um I I could have stayed at that place another day, but I had class the next day, which is part of why, I wanted to stick with the plan to move on Tuesday. Um, but yeah, when it was like time for class, I didn't feel any better. I was really miserable in class, which is already like, when I go to class on Wednesday, I usually do alright if I'm not too drained from Tuesday. But Thursdays, I'm always really struggling in class because I have class on Wednesday, and like Wednesday drains me, so Thursday is really difficult. But if I go into class Wednesday and I'm already drained, then I know Wednesday and Thursday are going to be really hard. So I went in Wednesday. It was not fun, but at least I managed to be there. Same thing Thursday, like at least I was there, but it was still really a struggle. And I mean, I guess like to some extent maybe I was doing better responding in class, just because like I'm starting to get the hang of the language a little bit, but overall like I was really struggling. Because I was so exhausted. And then, today's Friday, and I haven't gone anywhere today, and I'm like kind of surprised that I'm this drained, but then on the other hand, like, what did I expect?